Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the PIKOM webinar series and Hour of Learning. Today's topic is how to conduct secured remote working. And we have planned this series to be an hourly series so that you don't have to spend too much time. At the same time, we try and keep you engaged throughout this session. Allow me to just introduce this topic before I introduce the speaker. Certainly with COVID-19 and the MCO, many organizations have transformed the conventional way of communications into online working. So during this webinar, we hope we will be able to share with the audience what are some of the best practices and how to apply them in your organization to keep you safe and to keep your organization safe during this time. Okay, so this is the series that PIKOM is introducing. There'll be topics that we're going to introduce on a regular basis. Every couple of days, there'll be an hour of learning with PIKOM on different topics, and we welcome you to join our session. For today's topic, I think we would like to thank the team in PIKOM as well as Microsoft for making this possible, providing this platform for us to conduct this webinar. There will be a Q&A towards the end of this session. So what I would request you to do is to use the Q&A function. You will see on the horizontal panel there is a Q&A function. You can submit your questions. It will come to me as the moderator. And as the moderator, what I will try to do is I'll try and group some of these questions together and pose it to the presenter at the end of the session. So do keep the questions coming, and I'll go through them throughout the session, and I'll be able to pose it to the presenter at the end of this session. So allow me now to introduce our speaker. Mr. Fong Chun Fook is the CEO of LGMS. He's a cybersecurity consultant as well as a trainer. He has more than 20 years experience and is a veteran in this highly demanding arena of information security. He has a series of certification, which I may not want to go through in detail, but suffice to say he's a very experienced person who is well sought after as a speaker, known for his enthusiasm, humor, dedication, and passion. In conferences, he has also appeared in on the newspaper and magazines. So without further ado, allow me to invite Mr. Fong to lead us through this session and to take us on this topic today. So welcome, Mr. Fong.
Thank you, Mr. Ong. Thanks for the kind introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Fong. I'm the CEO of LGMS. I will talk about myself later. So before we start, right, I would like to go through a story with you first. This is typically how I like to introduce the background of the presentation. So today we're going to talk about how to conduct secure working. I'm sure that most of you guys, if you're not working from home, most likely you have one way or another have been using remote working software, something like Zoom, Skype, and some other communication software before. So I get to ask this question a lot nowadays. Shall we use Zoom or shall we not Zoom? You know, Zoom or not to Zoom. So just to give everyone the suspense, right? I'm going to tell you the story first. We go through a story, and then later I'm going to answer these questions. Okay. So let's move on to the first slide. So this story I'm about to tell you is called The Phantom of the Hotel. Now, this is something happened to me quite a number of years ago. And it taught me a very important lesson. For you guys who like horror story, right? This is the story for you, okay? So the story will be unfold in a comic manner. So hopefully you can spend some time, look at the conversation. All right, I'm going to show you the screen now. Okay. So it was back in 2007, June. I was given an assignment to conduct a training in Sydney. So the assignment is to do a training for one of the government agencies. So the government agency actually has arranged an hotel for me to stay there a day before the training. So I arrived quite late at night. So I flew in and then arrived quite late, somewhere around, I think, 11 in the evening. And by the time I wait for the taxi and check into the hotel, it was close to midnight already, almost close to midnight. So this was back in 2007. I hope that everyone is looking at the screen, able to see the screen. So after I took my key, checked into my room, of course, the first thing first, being a cheapskate, I don't want to make international call. I want to make use of the internet to call home. And back then in 2007, right, we don't have things like something what we have today, like WhatsApp. We have so many other options. So I only have Skype. So the first things first, when you travel, when you go overseas, when you touch down in the hotel, normally what I would do is I would want to get online. I want to get onto the internet. I call home and hear the voice of my wife and my children. So I check into the room, power on the computers, get connected to the wireless hotel or wireless network, and then I saw this page. It says that for 1 day, I'm going to pay 50 Aussie dollars. For 1 week of access, I'm going to pay 70 Aussie dollars. So I was thinking, okay, if 1 day is 50, 1 week is 70, which one should I get? Should I get 1 day or 1 week? Definitely it's going to be 1 week, right? So I pay for 1 week, 1 full week, and then instantly, of course, I use my credit card. I use key my credit card numbers, pay for the internet access, and then finally I get online. So once I got online, I get in touch with my wife using Skype, and then of course downloading all my emails from work, reply my email, reply my whatever emails from the office that need to be replied, and then prepare the work for tomorrow. By the time I finish everything, it was almost like 3 a.m. in the morning already. So realizing that the next day I have to go for training, so I gotta I hurry packed up and then go to hit the bed and get some rest. So the next morning, when I woke up, of course, the first thing first, normally when I wake up, I also want to prepare to see if I have any urgent email I need to reply to. So I get online, check my mail before I go out to the client's place, put up my machine, and suddenly I realized that the internet was down. So I couldn't get onto the internet. Okay, and it was fine, it was working okay last night, and somehow I have paid 70 Aussie dollars for the 1 week access, and now I cannot get online. So being a little bit frustrated, so I made a call to the front desk. So I told the front desk, hey, can I talk to your technician? Could you send somebody to help me to check, what's wrong with the internet? Pay the full payment for 1 week. So the receptionist was very polite. She was very helpful. She was asking me, so what's your room number? How can she help? And I told her the whole story. I said that, hey, I pay for the 1 full week access. What happened to the internet? Is something wrong with the network? If there's something, maybe I can help to check as well, because I really want to get my internet access. So receptionist says, okay, one moment, sir. Let me know your room number. I'm going to get back to you on this. Let me check with my technicians, our technicians. So I think a few minutes later, the receptionist checked with the technician, and she replied in a very gentle voice, "Thank you for waiting. Our hotels do not have any Wi-Fi services, by the way." And this was exactly my reaction back then. Okay, so I was in complete shock. Now, reason because of what the receptionist told me, the hotel was never having any Wi-Fi access at all. So what happened to me last night? Which Wi-Fi access point did I connect it to? It wasn't the hotel's Wi-Fi access point. So that got me puzzled. So immediately I got a call home. I called my bank using long distance call. By the way, it's way more expensive. Call my bank to cancel the credit card, to make sure that the card numbers are not leaked out. I got to change my password. I have to go through all the hassles. So apparently what happened was that was what we call a rogue access point attack, meaning that a hacker was actually set up a fake wireless access point, waiting for somebody to connect to the wireless access point, and then from there, because the access point was set up by the hackers, anything we do from going back and forth on the internet will be intercepted by the hackers, including when we check our emails, our email username, passwords, our credit card numbers, everything will be intercepted by the hacker. So I was a victim of rogue access point attack. Now, if you come to think about it, right, the hotel was actually recommended by the government, the Australian government. So I'm just wondering whether was it the government's plan to put me into the same hotel and see if I fall prey to the attack or what. But anyhow, it taught me a lesson, because nowadays it's really, really difficult to tell which access point that you're connected to, whether it's legitimate or non-legitimate, especially when you're in a public area. I'm sure that every time, sometimes when we travel, we landed in the airport, we check into the hotel, the first thing first we want to get online is to see if there's any Wi-Fi access point available. Like I think one of the things that Malaysians, we always like to ask when we go into a restaurant, The first question you ask is not like, can I have your menu? No. The first question typically we would like to ask is, what's your Wi-Fi password? If you go to Mama, also we ask the same question. So the thing is, we have to have in mind that Wi-Fi today are not secure. These weaknesses has been there for a long time already. It's not something that we just discovered. Has been there for the longest time. So one of the practice I will always advocate, always tell our friends, family members, and our client is that if you have a choice, do not use Wi-Fi. But if you really have to use Wi-Fi, you have to make sure that the wireless access point you're connected to are authentic. Authentic means that it's really owned by the organization who set it up. And that means also one thing. If you go to the public place, if you go to public places, you go to see any free wireless access point, and please try not to use it, right? It is way better to use your data line than using wireless access, free public Wi-Fi. And by the way, come on, the data line nowadays is not expensive. Don't be a cheapskate like me, and then just use data line nowadays. So when you go in a public place, use data line. So what can hacker obtain from a role access point? Basically, a lot of information. If you are accidentally, like me, connected to hacker's role AP, right? What the hacker can do is, instead of just hijacking and capturing the information that belongs to you, the hacker can also push in malwares, push in ransomware, or even viruses to the computers, to your computers, right? So the impact is far more greater than what we have thought. Instead of just hijacking your personal information when you connected to the access point, the hacker can push down software, malware to your PC. And worse, even the hackers can also create their own fake website to trick you to think that website is genuine. For example, a hacker can sell a fake e-banking website. When you're connected to the role access point of the hacker, now and you go to your own e-banking website, the hacker can show their version of e-banking website to trick you to key in your username and password. Right? There's a lot of possibilities what the hackers can do when you are connected to the wireless access point. So that's why I would say don't use public Wi-Fi. Be very cautious whenever you're connected to the internet. All right. So let's get back to myself. So my name is Fong. I'm the CEO of LGMS. I enjoy teaching a lot, but nowadays I think I'm more busy managing the company than doing anything else. So I am I'm very passionate in ethical hacking. I started 20 years ago as a security consultant. Back then, there's no job title called ethical hackers, but I do a lot of ethical hacking work. And I also wrote a training material for PECB, Professional Evaluation Certification Board of the US. Currently, the program is used to teach forensic investigators, digital forensic investigators. It is a certification program. If anyone interested in, go and check it out on PCB website. I have also been quite actively advocating security in the recent years. So this is a little bit simple background about myself. So let's talk about the important things. Why do hackers attack? First of all, you always see this news coming out, hackers attacking X company, hackers sending out ransomware, hackers sending out malware. But why? Why do hackers attack, right? So if you ask me the same questions like 20 years ago, right, I will probably give you different answers. 20 years ago, people who are hackers, right, are most likely those individuals who have very sophisticated, complex skills in terms of they're able to do programming, they're able to create their own tools, they are very sophisticated, they are highly technical. But today, if you say typical malicious hacker today, they may not be necessarily technically complex because there's so many tools, so many hacking software that is commonly available today. If you can go to Google and do a search, right, you just search for hacking tools, there are hundreds and thousands of hacking tools available. But what makes it dangerous is that these hacking tools may perform certain activities, certain actions that can cause serious damage to the organizations. Now, these tools are landed on hands of those inexperienced, those who without experience, like teenagers, but probably just want to have the spirit of testing out the tools, and they launch it against certain organizations. The kind of impact the tools that can create from these teenagers are almost equally same as the tool when it's being launched by the hackers. So number one, today things have changed. We have so many hacking tools available, and some of these hacking tools are easily accessible, and some is free. And also, today's hackers have changed. it's not like a few decades ago. Hackers typically need to spend a lot of time to study their targets, and then hackers will usually have a kind of motive of what do they want to gain from the target, from the attack, right? Typically, financial gain is usually the case. Before and even now, financial gain is typically the typical objective of the hacker. So today, hackers have far more agenda, more greater agenda. Some hackers want to demonstrate their political agenda. Some hackers want to demonstrate their political will, and some just want to demonstrate that they have certain skills and to show dominations. But essentially, financial gain is still the ultimate objective of the hackers. Now, 20 years ago, when we talk about hacking, like the hackers will probably spend a lot of time developing their tools, studying the victim, right, before they launch the attack. Today, a lot of these things, these tools, these studies are not necessary anymore because a lot of things have changed. Now, one of the things have changed. Today, many organizations, whether you're SMEs, whether you're larger organizations, right, have probably heard of firewall. You have probably installed firewalls. You have probably installed antivirus on your PCs. You have probably installed intrusion detection software and something else. Security perimeter defense is getting stronger and stronger, right? So it caused a kind of a shift from the hackers' attack perspective as well, because hackers used to attack from the outside. We always thought that the bad guys are out there. The hackers will always try to attack from outside. But today, because of these perimeter defense technologies are so mature, and it's so reliable, hackers will have to find another way to hack into organizations. Now, what is a better way to hack into the organizations today? By using someone's insight. Now, how do you reach out to someone inside? That's the phishing mail attack that we're going to talk about. So hackers today rely a lot on phishing emails, rely on just normal email, attaching malwares, ransomware together, send the email into an organization. Now, once the email reach into the organizations, if the email contains malware, right, and someone within the organization accidentally opened the malware, and that's how a backdoor can be opened, and then the hacker can come in and out into the organizations. So these are the major modus operandi for the hackers nowadays. Hackers are looking for someone inside the organizations, not trying to penetrate your firewall, not trying to hack you from your website. So by the way, if you have an organization and if you own a website and somehow, someday, let's say your website got hacked, a hacker put a tagline there, I was here, your website is lame, I took over your website. Now, if you encounter a situation like this, right, the first thing that comes to your mind, it should be, thank God, thank you. And why is that? Because if you have a website and the hackers actually hack it and deface your website, at least you got to know about it. At least you look at the website, you know that, oh, by the way, we screw up, we have to fix the website. So at least I got to know. What is more scary which is what we have seen in our multiple years of doing computer crime investigation, is that hackers hack into an organization, but they kept quiet. They lay low, they stay quiet, they hide inside the server, right? They just start siphoning information out from the organization to outside without being discovered. And hackers can lie low, staying in the organization for years. And we have quite a number of computer crime investigation cases where we have encountered such hackers before. Now, these hackers are not your typical teenagers hacker or those casual hackers. These are professionals. They really spend time in studying the entire organizations. They really learn about the workflow of the entire organizations and plan their attacks accordingly. All right. Now, this can be another topic, but let's go back to this topic. Why do hackers attack? I think one of the things that's safe to say is that hackers are aimed for financial gain. All right. Now, let's go back to this. Today, what we're going to talk about is remote working. I think because of MCO, right, suddenly this remote working software become very popular. Like everyone knows about Zoom, everyone knows about Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and a common asked question is this: shall we Zoom or shall we not Zoom? Right? Is it still safe to Zoom or not safe to Zoom? If I have been following the Zoom issue since the very beginning, because I used to be a Zoom user before it became so popular. Zoom has been evolving along the way. I see that, especially nowadays, they have been launching a lot of patching and software and upgrades and feature change. To put it short, to put it in simple terms, if you are IT savvy, if you know how to set up access control, if you have a concept of how to set up access control, how to have a meeting room, waiting room set up, and all that, I think Zoom is still pretty safe to okay to use. I wouldn't say it's highly recommended. I think it's still okay to use for casual usage. Now, of course, we have read some news recently, like one of the school in Singapore, where the teachers are conducting trainings using Zoom, and then some hackers join in and show some obscene pictures to the students and all that. I think partially those kind of incidents has happened is partially also because the teacher didn't set a password. There is a feature that you can set a password to protect your room. So instead of allowing anyone to join the room. So there's a lot of security features, but sometimes you just have to look at this. If a software, flexibility and security is just like a balance, right? If something that is too secure, the flexibility will drop. It won't be so easy to use. But if sometimes the flexibility is too much, then the security will be missing. So this is a good example of what happened in Zoom case. Zoom was so easy to use, so convenient. Anyone can start a chat room, can start a meeting room, and without thinking of security in the first place. So as a conclusion, if you're okay, if you're IT savvy, you know how to set a password, you know how to secure your meeting rooms, and go ahead and use Zoom. Otherwise, there's so many other options available. There are there's Google Meet, there's Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Skype. There's so many other options. So I would encourage everyone to explore others, and maybe you can find something more suitable for you. So today, and also, so what are we going to focus about? Remote working. Now, in terms of remote working, meaning that working remotely from home or from a remote site, there are three things I would like to highlight to everyone. Three focus areas. Number one is your connection. How do you get connected to your server, to your company? How do you get connected between yourself and your colleagues? Right. The first thing we should be focusing on is the connection. The second thing we should be looking at is the software that we use for connectivity, for meetings. Right. And then the final thing is external threat. Now, when we are working from home, we may not be having direct support from our IT department. So we just have to handle a lot of things by ourselves. At the same time, especially during the MCO period, right? We are starting to see even more cyber security attacks, including phishing attacks, malware attacks coming in during this period of time. Well, I guess because maybe the hackers are also confined at home, so maybe they have more time to create malware and phishing emails. I think same like us. So I think these are the three focus points that we would like to focus on when we are talking about remote working. Now, we have talked about Wi-Fi, and I'm going to show you another example. This is a story of Makcik Kia and her son Bujang. I'm sure that everyone heard of Makcik Kia recently, and recently she got some government support. Now she's actually helping her son to set up a remote working from home. Right, her son also got a job instead of driving Grab. I think her son was just graduated maybe. So her son now got a laptop. Right, they have set up internet access at home, and then we're going to use her as an example. Right. So when you are connected at home like this, I think typically everyone will be connecting like this. I mean, you have a laptop, you have a PC, you're using Wi-Fi. You use your PC and connect to your Wi-Fi and then go out to the internet. So typically the setup will be something like, let me get a pen here. Okay. So you have a Wi-Fi here connecting to the access point here. Access point will bring you out, to the internet, right? So the focus here is the access point. Now let's look at this access point, right? The wireless access point. Now, some of the things that, this is back to the connection. Now, first question we have to ask ourselves, have we set up a password for our access point or not? Have we secured our access point or not? Right? Do we have a Wi-Fi security protocol set on the access point or not? Right? What do I mean by Wi-Fi security protocol? Now, if you got a new wireless access point, and if you do not set any security on top of it, anyone can basically connecting to your access point, connecting to your Wi-Fi access point. Now, obviously, you do not want anyone to connect to your access point, especially your neighbors. Maybe they make use of your bandwidth and probably they use your access point to download something that you wouldn't download. So you want to apply security on your access point. So the first thing I would encourage everyone is to check, looking at your access point, what kind of security have you been applying on the access point? Number one, are you using the WPA pre-share key, PSK, right? If you're not, please use the WPA pre-share key, right? The WPA PSK. Another thing is your access point with the WPS turned on? I was getting a little bit of technical, but don't worry, I will type down the text shortly. If your access point is having the WPS, right, the WPS turned on, I would strongly encourage you to turn it off, right? Because with the WPS turned on, a hacker like us, we can actually use a tool to randomly guess the correct PIN number that you set on the access point, and then we can gain full access. All right. So I repeat again, check if your wireless access point is using the WPS. If it's using the WPS, disable the WPS. Right. And then check if you are using pre-share key, the WPA pre-share key, meaning that set a password on your access point. Right. Set a password on the router, so that nobody can connect to the router without using a password. All right. So this is a basic fundamental I think everyone should know. The next thing is this: what happens if there's someone evil, living next door to Bujang and Matikya, and this someone evil also knows how to hack Wi-Fi access point? What can possibly some evil gentleman here can do, right? So, like I said just now, the person can launch a rogue access point attack, just like what happened to me in the hotel. Let's say this access point used by Makia is called Bujang, same name as the son, right? Now the evil gentleman here can also set up the same access point with the same name, can set up his access point with the same name as Bujang as well. Okay, now once he set up the access point as a Bujang, right, what he can do is he can send a signal to the original Bujang access point and then kick this offline. And then when this original access point is offline, so the laptop will actually look to continue to look for the internet access. So the laptop will look at Bujang, and the laptop will ask, hey, is Bujang some access point that I've previously connected before? The laptop will thought that this was the original access point that was connecting before, and then the laptop automatically connect to this Bujang, and then from here the laptop will go online from here, meaning that the laptop will be using the evil access point that's set up by this evil gentleman to go out. So that was what happened when someone launched this attack, where they can use their access point to bring down your original access point and then force you to connect to theirs. Of course, I don't think everyone's neighbor will be as evil as this gentleman here, but this is a possibility that can happen. So if you are working using Wi-Fi or maybe your mobile internet in a public place, bear in mind that these kind of situations can happen, meaning that someone who could be sitting next to you, they can mimic the name of your mobile mobile Wi-Fi, and then from there, they can create an access point like this, and then force your computers to connect to their access point and you get online and capture a username and password. Some other attacks this evil gentleman can do is, for example, this evil gentleman can also use, okay, back to the same scenario, use this access point to kick the original access point offline, right? So when Bujang connect to his access point, this gentleman can send out fake websites to Bujang. For example, he knows that Bujang wants to go out to the e-banking website. So this person, right, can set up a fake e-banking website. So when Bujang connected out to the e-banking website, Bujang thought he's seeing the real e-banking website, but in reality, it's actually coming from him, right? Because you are connected to his access point, right? The evil gentleman, basically can control what you can or cannot see from your access point, right? So it's a very dangerous thing to do. So in conclusion is, this kind of weaknesses still exist. In fact, we are unable to eliminate this kind of this kind of attacks. You just have to make sure that wherever you go online, right, you have to make sure that you don't do it in public, because public is most easiest way for someone to set up things like this. Yeah. So I'm seeing a question here. So I'll be trying to answer the questions while I'm trying to present this. So there's a question asking how difficult it is to take down the original AP. If you ask me, I think it's just split second with the right tools. In fact, less than a second. What the hackers can do is the hacker keeps sending packets, to the original Wi-Fi and then bring up the original AP, original Wi-Fi AP. So it's very easy to do. Tools are widely available. If you know where to look, you'll be able to find these tools. And all of these tools are, the scary part of this thing is all these tools are free. Wi-Fi hacking tools are free. That's the scary part. So connection, make sure, right, where you connect is very important. Now, how do we make this more secure? Let's say we are connecting from home, we're using Wi-Fi access point, and I kind of suspect my neighbor is spying on me. I kind of suspect, my neighbor is also using a fake access point, try to capture my username and password. So how do I prevent that from happening? How do I put on additional layers of security? So this is a time that you should consider a security solution called a VPN, virtual private network. Now, for attacker to sniff, to hijack information when you're using virtual private network, it is difficult. It's not impossible, but very difficult. So if you are using Wi-Fi from at home and you're using a laptop connecting to the Wi-Fi, right, consider using VPN, virtual private network, right? There are many virtual private network service providers out there. If your company provide virtual private network VPN service, your own organization provide VPN, use the VPN, right? Don't take the risk. If your companies do not provide VPN service, if you are individual users, you're very concerned about security, right? There's so many VPN software providers out there. I personally have two VPN, using two types of VPN. One is from company, another one is as a personal. Just Google for VPN service provider. There's so many. So a VPN basically is like a software, right? The software that runs on your laptop, and it will start an encryption channel between you and the VPN server over the internet. So whatever you go out from your computers to the internet is going to be encrypted. This is how the VPN help you to secure your data along the way, right? So use VPN if you can. Now let's go to look at, if anyone are interested into looking at the demonstration, how hackers able to take over, to trick, to bring down original access point and to trick the victim to connect to the hacker's access point. We have actually a demo. This was done, I think, not too long ago with one of the news agency. They came to our lab, and then we show them the tools, how we use it, how do we conduct the attack. So I will post the link here in the chat as well, so everyone can see the link later on, right? Right. So the next thing we're going to look at after the connectivity is the software. The software that we use to go online, the software that we use to go to do our online meetings, right? So a rule of thumb is this: regardless whether it's Zoom, whether it's Skype, whether it's Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or anything else, if your software allows you to do access control, please use access control. Now, what is access control? Access control basically is like it's a technical jargon for controlling who can access and who cannot access. How do you control? Basically by setting up a password, right? So if your meeting software allows you to set password for a meeting, please make use of that feature. Don't start any meetings without any passwords. So so that's the number one thing I would strongly recommend. Look at your software. If your software allows access control, please use access control. And make sure that you're using a latest version of the software, right? And also, another thing is very important. Wherever you download your software from, you have to make sure that it is coming from the original source, right? Let's say you want to download Skype, you don't go to some unknown website or yahoo.com to download Skype. You go to the official website. You go to Microsoft website. You go to the official website to download Skype. So make sure that the software you downloaded from are actually from the original website, right? Not from some other website. I'm sure that this is kind of common for a lot of internet users. Sometimes you go to certain websites, and then there's a website that pops up and tell you that, oh, yeah, your computer is infected with virus. You need to download this software. You need to install this antivirus. So typically, another rule of thumb is typically any website you go and have a pop-up and ask you to download something, you can be pretty sure that this website is not secure. Just don't download anything from the website, right? I have a questions coming in here. Is a laptop, mobile phones easier to be hacked? I'm not sure how easy is easier, but to hackers, right? Laptop, mobile phone, and servers all are the same thing, right? But because you're bringing your laptop, your mobile phones with you, we are going mobile, we're going out. So the chances of laptop and mobile phone connecting to the Wi-Fi is much higher compared with the server. Server, typically, you don't connect to a Wi-Fi access point. Therefore, I would say that the risk exposure of a laptop and mobile phone could be higher compared with a server. Whether it's easier to hack or not, it depends, right? Server typically has been hardened, so it has been applied with a lot of patches and also security defense. But laptops and mobile phone may not be. Like for instance, how many of us actually put in antivirus on our mobile phone? Right? I guess not everyone wants to put in antivirus on mobile phones, but so this is a very kind of challenging question. But typically, I would say laptop, mobile phone are more susceptible to hacking because it always attached with you together. Right. Back to this software security. So you have to make sure that the software is downloaded from the authentic original website. Okay. If you go to any website, something pops up and tells you to download something from them, just ignore it. And do not publish your meeting links to social media. If your meeting is supposed to be confidential, supposed to be business related, right? Supposed to be confined to a certain group of people. I mean, common sense. You don't broadcast the link to your friends, families, and just share among your peers, right? So I guess this was also kind of interesting to bring it up because a lot of schools today are using remote online meeting software, like for example Zoom, right? School teachers may not thought of the security, how dangerous it is to share the public link, right? You see, when you have a public link like that, of course you share with all the students, right? You share with the students, share with the parents. But if you do not set in access control, you do not put in access control, right? A public link means that anyone with the links can come in. It could be a stranger, it could be some pedophile, it could be anyone. So teachers, if you're still using Zoom to teach your class, please make sure that you set a password, strong password, and let your students know what are the password, and let your students know, do not publish this information to the strangers, right? So this is how we help to ensure the security. Sometimes means it's also sad to say sometimes security, the biggest problem is not really the technology itself, is we human being ourselves, right? We are the biggest problem, right? End user problem. Okay, now the number 3 kind of threats everyone who is working remotely should be paying attention to, right, is the increasing cyber threats. Okay, I've got a very interesting statistics coming from Cybersecurity Malaysia. Based on the study during the MCO period from March 18 to April 7, the number of security cases was actually increased by 82.5% compared with last year. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 82.5%, I think it's not shocking. You know what is the shocking thing is, I think the figures may not reflect the real situation. Put it this way, if I'm an organization, if I got hacked, right, I may not be necessarily report to cybersecurity. I may not be necessarily tell everyone I could be just keeping quiet, and I just hide under the carpet and I just keep quiet. So whatever the statistics that we are seeing today, right, it's just a kind of I would say it's just rough indicators, because in reality, what we are seeing as a computer crime investigators, we see far more greater risk. And a lot of the times when these kind of incidents happen, hacking incidents happen, online fraud happen, some of these private organizations, they may not necessarily report to an agency. So statistics may not be collected. So in reality, one thing I would strongly encourage everyone is to have a different mindset is this. Every time when we encounter statistics like this, right, it is a good indicators, right? But in reality, things could be worse. Could be far worse, right? So, but showing at this, it's also show that the hackers are actually quite productive also during the MCO period, right? Hackers are far more productive compared to before. And why is that? That's also something interesting to be pondered upon. So when we are working at home, we may not have typical IT security support, like when we are in the company. So how do we deal with this? Like, for instance, let me ask a question. I'm not sure whether you can answer this question here or not. How many of us have not received any spam mails before? Right? Please type a yes in the column. If you have not received any spam mail before, I really have to congratulate you. Right? Either you have a very good email filtering, your company has applied a very good email filtering systems, or maybe you don't have an email address. Right? So it's almost impossible to have no spam mails. Nowadays, phishing emails coming in from all channels. So if we receive a email, okay, how do we tell whether an email is a phishing email or some email that is coming from some stranger? I'm not supposed to open the attachment. How do we know, right? Of course, there's a series of things that we can do. Due to time limitation, I'm just going to highlight a few points that what we can do. Now, if you receive an email apparently coming from someone that you trust, okay, example, your bank, right? Your bank send you an email telling you that you have to open this attachment. Otherwise, you don't fill up this form, this attachment will close your account, right? Another example is you receive an email coming from your colleague, right? Something from a colleague with your colleague's email address and asking you to urgent open this document, right? Now, there are certain ways technically we can check. We can look at the email headers, looking at how the email travel, what are the points that email travel before they reach your mailbox. Of course, this is going to take some time to explain, but if you are suspicious about some emails, right, the simplest thing to do is don't open the email, right? Don't open the attachment. If a colleague telling you that there's something very urgent, you need to open the attachment to do something, give it a call, give a colleague a call and see whether this is true or not. But of course, this is the simplest, I would say, may not be too effective, put it this way. But if you're in doubt, it's better to stay safe, stay cautious. And the other thing is I would like to bring up is also the authority. Now, remember this, during this MCO period, we have been reading and receiving a lot of reports where a lot of people receiving emails apparently coming from authorities, apparently coming from income tax department, apparently coming from PIKOM, right? Apparently coming from these government departments. If you receive any emails from a government department and in these emails, the content require you to click on something, right? You can just ignore the email, right? Just ignore the email. Better stay safe, right? Although it's not really effective, but better stay safe. Go to the official website, check on the content first, right? Check on the content. Now we're going to run upcoming with PIKOM. We're going to run one full day of top executive cybersecurity awareness training. Now during that training, we're going to show you how to read email headers, how to distinguish, how to tell whether an email is a phishing email or email that you shouldn't be open, or email that that's dangerous. We're going to teach you how to read that. It probably takes some time to do it. It's too short for the webinar, but the rule of thumb is that if you are suspicious, just don't open an email. And remember this, the authority will never email you and give you instructions to do something and ask you to click on something, ask you to open this attachment, otherwise your account will be closed. The authority will never do that, right? Anyone who send you this kind of emails to ask you to open a link, open an attachment, are probably not the authority, right? Same goes with fraud calls, all right? Maybe you can put it here. If you have not received any fraud calls before, please say yes in the comment, right? Then I want to congratulate you. Right? Either you don't have a phone, right? Or probably you fall into prayer and you have no idea. It is affecting every Malaysian, and not just Malaysian, everyone in the world. As long as you have a phone today, you have most likely received fraud calls before. Now remember that the modus operandi for the fraudsters to conduct the fraud is pretty much the same. They want your money. They want your money. And the rule of thumb is this: if you receive any calls claiming to come from authority, claiming that the call is coming from a bank, coming from a courthouse, coming from police station, coming from government department, coming from MSCC, and telling you that you have to do something because you're in trouble. You have an unsettled balance. The bank is going to fine you, and then the MSCC is going to launch investigation on you. The court is going to issue a court order for you. If you don't do something that we tell you over the phone, you can just hang up the phone, right? Remember, any authorities who tell you something to give you instructions over the phone are probably not authorities, all right? If it's really that important, if it's really that critical, let's say the police station is looking for you, the police are looking for you, the police will not actually give you a call telling you that please go to call this number and then we'll transfer you and then ask you, help you. The police will probably send a police car just right in front of your house and pick you up to the police station if it's that critical. So remember, if you receive any calls that claiming that they can come from authorities like your banks or the government departments, just hang up the call, right? Anything, if it's anything urgent, you can just go back to the website, check, and call the official line. So just hang up the call. So these are the three things I would like to highlight when we are working from home, when we do not have fast access to internet support. So another interesting thing is this, something I think worth mentioning. This is also, I think, is quite critical. Recent news, police have identified 501 cases fraudulent face mask sales involving more than 3.5 million. One thing that shocked me is that we Malaysians really cash rich. I mean, 3.5 million to pay to somebody and get cheated, right? So there's a lot of cash there. And again, 501 cases. I also believe that there are some cases that never made it to the police report. In reality, there could be possibly more cases. So my advice is this: if you want to buy something online, right, always buy at those e-commerce platforms. We have so many e-commerce platforms in Malaysia like Lazada, Shopee, and so many others. If you see any sales that happens on social media, and I know that if I mention this, a lot of people are going to crucify me. But if you see any sales that's happening on social media, don't take the risk, right? If there's any, because if you buy from somebody you get to know from social media, you buy from an advertisement that is happening and there's a launch on the social media, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get your products, right? Because the social media platform will not take responsibility if you got cheated from buying from through the social media platform. So rule of thumb is, if you want to buy something, buy from the e-commerce platform, right? There's so many e-commerce websites in Malaysia. Do not buy anything from social media platform, right? I think these are the quick tips, three points that I would like to highlight when we are working from home. So in conclusion, I think almost an hour already. Let me see if there's any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Fong. Maybe I can also help you along the way because there are a series of questions.
Yes.
I think we'd like to thank Mr. Fong for taking us through that. Maybe I will start, if it's okay, I'll start maybe more from the business side. There was a question, one of the earlier questions, you say, in the business, when you talk to some of your clients, do you find it difficult to talk to clients when cybersecurity is so important, but at the same time, they don't seem to be willing to invest in securing their systems? Do you find that an issue?
Yes, it's always an issue. You know, security is like insurance. I always tell my friends, security is like insurance. By the time you realize that you need the insurance, it's already too late. You know, when is the best time to buy insurance? The best time to have insurance is when you have chance to prepare. I think we are still in the circle of trying hard to convince and create education for general public that to be more proactive, when it comes to security.
Okay, thank you. And there were quite a number of questions relating to the Wi-Fi access points. I think because a lot of us have also neglected that in many ways, we just assume the password is actually good enough. So one of the questions asked whether, would it help if I hide my SSID name?
No.
No.
The short answer is no. There's no use if you hide your SSID name, because with the tools that we have, right, we can sniff out what's your SSID name. And to tell you another secret, okay? It wouldn't be any secret anymore once we publish this. With the tools that we have, right, whatever names that you use for your access point, we can detect and replicate the same name in less than a second. right? Meaning that if I drive my car, I'm having the tools in my, let's say in my car, right? And I park my car in the taman. Now, assuming in the taman there are many houses, and a lot of these houses having their own access point name, different names, right? The tools that we have, right, can at one point emulate tens or even hundreds of different names all together, meaning that the tools allow the hackers to attack more than one access point at the same time. It is very scary.
Okay. In that case, then the follow-on question from another listener is, should I change or upgrade the original router or the Wi-Fi router or the device that's given by the ISP?
Okay, good questions. Okay, I know that a lot of us using some common ISP names. Yes, we should, instead of replacing it, we should also check if we can secure it first. It may not be replacing it, may not be the solution. You have to check whether it is, whether the router allows you to apply security on it or not. If the routers do not allow you to log in, do not allow you to change to a stronger encryption scheme, then probably you want to replace it.
Okay, and I know this one is a little bit specific, but there was a question to ask, how do I access the router, the WPA and WPS settings? I know a lot of them, you have to type 192.168.0.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, different routers have different IP schemes, so it's hard to say which is which. I would say the better is you just ask some friends with IT background, look at once you get connected with your Wi-Fi connection, right? Look at your own IP address on your PC, because your PC IP address will be able to tell you what is the router IP address.
Okay. And if there are any questions, just keep it coming. We probably have another 5 minutes, but let me just ask one more question. There was a question about PC, laptop, and mobile phones. The general understanding at one time was mobile phones do not really get hacked as often as PCs or laptops. But I think you also highlighted that today the world has also changed.
Yes, the world has changed. Mobile phone, in fact, hacking mobile phone is very interesting, because there are also multiple ways for hackers to hack into mobile phones. But the thing is, the impact when someone managed to hack into a mobile phone is far more greater compared to someone able to hack into a laptop. See, we have cases, we have also tools to, once we hack, just imagine this, we carry our mobile phone everywhere we go, right? We may not carry our laptop everywhere we go. Now, the mobile phones today, assuming that we're talking about smartphones, the mobile phone today are equipped with so many things. It has GPS, it has a speaker, a mic, a camera. So if someone managed to hack into the mobile phone, someone can basically own your life. They know where have you been to, how long you have stayed in a certain location. They can even turn on the camera of your phone and take pictures, when you're working. They can also turn on the mic and listen to the conversation. They can also impersonate you by sending out messages, by sending out WhatsApp, for example, sending out WhatsApp to some of your contacts. So the impact of phone hacking is far more greater compared with hacking of any other things.
The other thing is, as a follow-on question, on the mobile phone, most of us do not carry some kind of mobile device management or even a security application on a mobile phone. Do you have any recommendation on that?
Yeah, I would say if you do not use mobile device management, MDM solutions, right? It's just a fancy name of enterprise tools, but please, if it's possible, have antivirus running on your mobile phones. At least the first line of the defense is there, having antivirus running. Because today, most mobile phone antivirus should be able to detect common type of malware, common type of hackers attack.
Okay, and lastly, I'll just take one more question, which is actually on the Ministry of Education in Singapore. I think you mentioned it in a Zoom class where somebody posted some pornographic material. Yeah. I know you suggested maybe as a first line of defense is at least have a password. Any other things you think, at least both on the ministry side or home user can do or student can do?
Okay, if anyone's still using Zoom, right? I guess what we have been so used to is we open a meeting room, send the link to everyone else, and everyone else just copy the link, click on the link, and then join. But because there's the popularity of Zoom, right? So we should now think about access control. Access control is a feature Zoom took it lightly. Now, if you want to continue to use Zoom, please make sure that your meeting room has password, right? And once you have the password, I would guess it wouldn't be so easy for someone to barge in without a password.
Okay, thank you. I know there are some questions who are asking Mr. Fong specific things. For example, some people are asking the advice on any antivirus for mobile phones as well as for VPN solution. I know they're asking you specific brand names if you can recommend, but I know it'll be difficult for you also to recommend.
Yeah. Okay. I think what I can say is for antivirus, some people is asking, hey, whether it's free antivirus or paid antivirus, which one is which? Which one is good? I think having antivirus compared with no antivirus, having antivirus is better, whether it's free or not. Having some kind of antivirus, whether it's free, it is still better than no antivirus.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to wrap up, but before I wrap up, Mr. Fong, you would like to say anything before I do a quick summary?
The summary is because, okay, what we have seen in the cyber world have changed so much. Technologies have basically reshaped our personality already, reshaped the human personalities. Today, if you tell your friend, right, by the way, I don't have a WhatsApp, don't call me, or don't WhatsApp me, I think probably you don't have any friends anymore, right? So it's inevitable we will be heavily depending on technologies from the time onwards, right? When we are heavily depending on technologies, we should also realize that we're also putting too much trust on technologies, meaning that sometimes when we receive a message, sometimes when we receive a call, we just blindly believe what the message told us or call told us. So sometimes we have to just stop, think, and analyze, before we take action. That's number one. Coming back to technology, technical point of view is that security is an ever-growing field. So always keep yourself updated. Learn about security trend. Remember, cybersecurity is no longer an IT issue. It is everyone's issue, right? I think once you realize this, I think everyone can play a part to be more secure.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are very appreciative of Mr. Fong, who shared with us over the past 1 hour on some of the tools and some of the tips that you can take in terms of protecting yourself on cyberspace, especially in this time where we are working from home and during the lockdown. You may have noted that PIKOM is also running a training program, a one-day training program together with LGMS. It's on at the end of April, on April 29. Some of you have received the invitation. So please, if you're interested, contact the PIKOM Secretariat. We're happy to register you. It's a payable event, but it's also HRDF claimable. So with that, I think we'd like to thank Mr. Fong. Allow me also to announce one more commercial. This event today is also made possible through our collaboration with the Malaysian Productivity Corporation Digital Productivity Nexus. So they have a message for you, which is stay at home, stay healthy, and stay productive. So with that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Please join us at our next session, which we will announce very soon. So with that, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.